Hey guys, Drew with Because Jitsu back again. We're going over guard retention today in this video, but not just how to step by step. What we decided to do for this topic is show a live action representation of how to use it in actual sparring. So we've taped about 90 seconds of my partner just trying to pass my guard and all of my reactions to stop him from doing so. We've taped it in no gi, so it's not going to involve specific gi grips. It should be useful in gi or no gi. And really it's going to focus around a few different topics, aspects, and concepts that we'll describe as we're going along through the video. So enjoy this, and I hope it helps. Alright, so there's going to be some recurring themes throughout this whole video that I'm going to stop and sort of point out as they happen. Some recurring themes that you're going to see are going to be things like posting, framing, mobility, and space retention. So these are things, like I said, that are kind of difficult to show step by step, but are much easier to describe in real time. So I'm going to do that for this video and sort of pause and go back to live as they happen. Alright, so one thing you'll notice right away, and you'll notice as I'm doing this, is I'm starting on my butt, I've got a hand on the floor, and I'm using my other hand to check his distance from me constantly. Now, the reason I'm using that check arm is to keep distance between us while I use that framing arm or posting arm on the ground to open up space when I need it. So that's going to afford me mobility. Mobility is huge, which is going to allow me to dictate when and where I decide to set up my guard. If I'm not ready to set up my guard and he's getting too close or starting to do things that are threatening the pass, I'm going to get that arm on the ground, I'm going to get that check arm in place, and I'm going to reset, whether it's laterally or in a circle. I'm going to move my body in a way that resets his guard pass because it resets my guard. Okay, so right here, you're going to see a recurring theme. Where I like to put my hand is right on the shoulder, and this is something that I like to use as a frame because putting my hand sort of cupping over top of the trap is going to allow me to frame his neck or face with my forearm. And that frame not only keeps space, but it also makes it difficult for him to come in because he doesn't want to lean his throat on the blade of my arm. Now, Alvin likes to use a lot of speed passes and dynamic movement passes, which are really effective, especially in no-gi. So it's very important as a person on bottom when you're playing against somebody who tries to fast pass you to keep distance because they need to get past you fast, and if you can keep that distance open the entire time, they can't get past your hips, which does not allow them to get pressure down on top of you, passing your guard. Now here Alvin tries to hit me with a leg drag, and notice how I am already up on my post on the ground, my elbow, as well as my check arm is framing against his body, and both of these things in conjunction are going to allow me to move my upper body while he's trying to isolate my lower body. This makes it exceptionally difficult for him to isolate my lower body because it's on the move. Okay, right here, you'll notice that I have started to collapse the space in between us on purpose. So you'll remember when I was talking about never wanting to let him into your space, keeping that space open until you're ready to set up the guard you like. This is a position where I have a guard that I like. I've got the back of his head trapped, I've got the insteps of my feet behind his legs, and I'm willing to play this for a moment. I'm entertaining it. For the sake of this demo, I just go back to guard retention, but that would be a point where I would be willing to start playing guard from. Alright, right here is a point where I actually do something wrong. There is a fundamental concept I always tell my students where you want to have, when you're on the bottom, both your legs and both your hands occupied with something. If one of them's not doing something, that's something that he can take advantage of or that you don't have the ability to use against him. So I always want to have a job for both my hands, both my feet. You'll see that I kind of screw up on that for a moment, but then catch myself and get them both acted back into their roles of posting and framing. And it doesn't take too long once I've got them activated to put them to use and get this little sweep out of it. So this is something that you can also play back and forth with retention, is anytime they offer you an opportunity to attack, you can switch from defense to attack and back and forth depending on what works for you and what they're giving you. Now, Alvin's done a great job so far of giving me a whole lot of different looks to have to use different types of guard retention. And at this point, he offers me basically like a float pass of sorts. He gets over top of my levers, being my legs, and forces me to have to guide him with them and get a little more complex by inverting a little bit and then reverting to keep him behind my guard. But here's a great part in this whole demo where he actually does get past my guard for a moment. He gets onto the side of my leg, is getting hip to hip, and is very close to passing my guard wholesale. And I have to rely on what is my plan B, being my arms. So what happens sometimes when your guard gets passed is you don't have to give up the guard pass at that point if you get a strong structure with your arms framing against him while he's trying to pass. He's going to have to beat those while moving up your body. If you can keep those intact, you can actually pull your body back by using them and get your legs, your plan A, back in front of you to keep that guard retained. Well, there you have a minute and a half of guard retention live action broken down for you. I know it sounds like it's pretty advanced or complicated or difficult to replicate, but it's really not. When you watch for these key concepts, the framing, the posting, the space management, these things are very commonly recurring themes anytime that you're trying to either retain the space that you have or get back space that got taken from you. So try this drill out yourself. Next time you're in the gym, try to just retain your guard for even like 30 seconds, and that's all you're focused on. If you keep these things in mind while you're doing it, I think you'll have a really good success rate that you'll be able to plug and play where you need it into any given role. I hope this helps, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for future videos, and we'll see you then.